evening. So a little impromptu post-fight breakdown. Not much action in terms of boxing or MMA via the UFC, simply because this is one of the biggest holidays in the US, right? So Thanksgiving weekend, uh, nobody schedules a big fight card here. However, in the UK, there was a pretty big fight card which aired on DAZN, and I thought I'd break down what I could catch of Sonny Edwards' TKO, or his loss in the sixth round, getting stopped by Galal Yafai. Now, I have to admit, I'm not really familiar with either gentleman prior to checking out the highlights of this fight. I understand that there's been this sort of long-standing familial rivalry between the Edwards brothers and the Yafai brothers. I have to, again, admit I'm not really up to date on all of that, but I understand there's a lot of sort of uh, pre-fight banter, shall we call it, prior to this fight. So yes, hi, Jesus. Happy Saturday night. Happy Saturday night to you too, Jesus. Good to see you here. Thank you for joining. Okay, so if you do a quick search on YouTube, you'll find the fight highlights, Sonny Edwards versus Galal Yafai. So if you want to click on that, take a look at that. I'll break it down as we go. Oh, what's going on with no audio? Huh. Oh, okay. All right, fine. Let me just see what my settings at. Okay, yeah, I'm maxed out, so hopefully you can hear me. Okay, cool. No worries. All right, so check out the DAZN station, or channel rather, DAZN boxing channel, and see if you can find Sonny Edwards versus Galal Yafai. I'm gonna click on that now at my end. Who just joined us? Daniel, hi. My thoughts on white bread. It's not really good for you, but just, I don't know. I like white bread. Tastes good. So Mike, I don't know. Am I going to need to get a moderator? Let's keep it clean. Keep it appropriate. Do I know who Mr. Beast is? Happy holidays to you too. Okay, so guys, let's click on Sonny Edwards versus Galal Yafai. Just getting past the ads. Okay, so again, as I said, there seemed to be, for whatever reason, like plenty of bad blood between Yafai and Edwards leading up to this fight. Okay, so all I'll say is Sonny Edwards does look still fairly drawn, even in the ring, after rehydrating. Now, right away, I noticed that right out the gate, Sonny put himself on the perimeter of the ring, and Yafai was the one sort of hunting him down with pretty hard shots, pretty scrappy. They would fall into kind of clinches, but Yafai was the one who's punching on the break, as we say. Far more action, far more punching action out of Yafai than Edwards through the first round for sure. Looks like Yafai's throwing a lot of looping hooks and catching Edwards. Edwards seems to be trying to just cover up with double high guard and then try to catch a counter punch. Single counter punch. Let me just see who's here. Hi, Boxing Learner. Hello. Daniel again. Hello, Terry. Okay, but right out the gate, I would say Yafai seemed ready to come to scrap. I'm not so sure about Edwards, so to speak. Again, Edwards is moving backwards. He seems to want to switch stances from righty to lefty, whereas Yafai's pretty much staying true to himself in terms of being in southpaw stance. Again, right in the first round, I'm confused as to why Sonny Edwards wants to put his back right up against the ropes. He's just making himself a pretty much solitary target. Then he even moves himself sometimes into the corner. Now he did try to rally back a little bit. He switches to southpaw stance, does land some good overhand lefts. He does weave under some of Yafai's punches, but just not quite enough. And then he always retreats back to the ropes. So once Sonny Edwards is on the ropes, Yafai just keeps him there and pretty much works away at him, chips away at him, as we say. Throws a lot of jabs. Sonny Edwards seems to be trying to shoot hard counter shots off the ropes, but it's not quite enough. And I'm a little bit baffled as to why he doesn't force the issue, get Yafai off of him and then reverse the position. Okay, so Sugar's saying the Edwards style depends on him having space and thinking through his shots. Yafai's plan is to prevent that and to prevent him from getting set or thinking. Great point. Yes, I mean, Sonny did not have enough space, but I think that just backing up is not the best option to adopt in general. Like, you have to pivot in order to create space. You can't just back straight up, because then you'll wind up, as he did, back on the ropes. Is ground fight the strongest fight style? Lucas is asking. I'm not sure what you're alluding to, if you mean in MMA. Okay, but now here's the concerning thing with this Edwards Yafai fight was between, I guess I'm not sure if this is between the first round and the second, or between the second and third. I think it's between the second and third, where Edwards literally says to his corner, he says, "I don't want to be here," directly to his trainer's face. And then, of course, his trainer kind of reads him the riot act and tells him to bite down on his, as you guys call it, gum shield. We call it a mouthpiece, and sends him back out there. So now in the third round, it's a continuation of the same thing, where Sonny Edwards continues to put himself on the ropes. He's trying to defend with either double high guard or alternating high guard, but it's not enough to keep Yafai off of him. Yafai's coming to scrap. He just doesn't care. He's throwing straight punches. He's throwing looping punches. If he has to grapple, he'll grapple. But again, Sonny winds up putting himself in the corner too much, way too much, because then he doesn't have that space that he needs, as Sugar was alluding to. Yes, good to meet all of you guys. Okay, so again, much of the third round, Sonny Edwards' back is on the ropes or on the corner post. He looks for those single counter uppercuts. He tries to cover up from Yafai's punches and just look for single shots in between Yafai's barrage, but it's not enough to throw these single shots. And to his credit, Sonny does get off a few decent shots in between, but the volume of Yafai's punches is just wearing him down. And what I like about Yafai is he's leading with the jab. Whether he's throwing a power jab or not, he's at least leading with the jab and looks to set up the rest of his punches. Now, one time in the third, Sonny does pivot off the ropes, which is what you want him to do. And then he starts keeping Yafai in the center of the ring, but it's not enough. It looks to me that he's just not able to generate enough volume and enough power to control Yafai and keep Yafai where he wants him in the ring. So Sugar's saying Edwards has said to his team, win, lose, or draw, I'm retiring tonight. And that mentality is going into a fight is dangerous, absolutely. When you mention the R word as an option, you already switched off 100%. So if that's actually accurate, Shug, and I'm not doubting you, I mean, then yeah, if you've already retired before you even step in there, that's very dangerous. But it's even more dangerous to actually articulate to your corner, I don't want to be here. Like, you can think that, or you can be faced with the fact that you're getting, as we'd say, your rear end handed to you in a fight. But to actually verbalize that to your corner, that's on a whole different level of, I want to say, giving up. And so that's a serious warning sign to his corner. The fact that he was able to go 3 more rounds, I don't know if that's to their credit or not, because he did take quite the drubbing over the next 3 rounds. Again, 4th round, Sonny's back is on the ropes. He's trying to either do double high guard and maybe bend over, or single alternating high guard. But Yafai is just standing there, staying with him, picking his shots, leading with his right jab or right hook, and then just picking his punch placement, both body and head. And the end comes, I think Yafai lands at least 13 unanswered punches. Sonny just refuses to get out of the corner or off the ropes. When there are moments or pauses in the action, that's the moment where if you want to stay in this fight, that's when you pivot off or you shove your opponent off of you. So, for me, I mean, a little concerning as a fighter, watching a fighter articulate that, hey, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be here, to their corner. I mean, at the very least, maybe you would ask them to lean in and kind of whisper it to them so it's not caught on camera. But that's a super alarming mindset. Okay, so all right, so a few comments that have nothing to do with boxing, but we're here to talk about the Sonny Edwards Kai Yafai fight. So Yafai wins the interim WBC flyweight belt, and at 112 pounds, Eddie Hearn even kind of admitted that, he was asked, hey, so you're going to go to Japan because that's where the 112 champion is. He's Japanese. Eddie is saying, hey, well, we'd rather them come here, but it's a little bit unrealistic. Eddie, you don't make the champion come to your backyard if you're the challenger. So I don't know what he's thinking. All right, guys, so we're talking about the Sonny Edwards Yafai fight that just occurred tonight over in the UK. Did you catch the fight? I wish I could see the whole entire fight. Right now, DAZN's only posted highlights. Maybe somebody will post the fight in its entirety. Guys, of course, if you want to, feel free to leave a super thanks. Someone's saying Bryce Mitchell and Kron might be cool to watch. Yes, I think that will be an interesting fight just to see which version of Kron Gracie shows up. Is he going to be disinterested? He's going to lie on his back and do one of these, like very, very, very old school UFC? Is he going to go like this and just walk forward? Hopefully we get a very interested and motivated Kron Gracie, because otherwise I think Bryce will just pick the pace up on him and tee off. But okay, so Sugar's saying he saw the whole card. The whole card was pretty good, and the lighter weights are starting to catch up. catch fire now. Well, I mean, that is good to know. Again, hopefully I can catch like the fights in their entirety somewhere. Hopefully somebody posts it, even even if YouTube only lets it stay up for a short amount of time. Yes, and it is definitely good to see the lighter weights getting showcased. I feel like lighter weight fighters, there's more sort of action, sometimes a lot more action than say the heavier weights. Um, let's see. Artur Beterbiev. What are your thoughts on Artur? I think he won versus Bivol. Do you think he wins the rematch? I think he wins the rematch. Sugar saying, having seen a number of Galal Yafai's fights, the question is whether he's ready for excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. Ready for the title given some of the deficiencies of his style. His lack of defense and heavy heavy over front foot is an issue. Yes, well, in this particular fight, he just needed to bring it and pour it on, right? He didn't have to display a great deal of technical prowess. It was just a question of steady pace, bring the right attitude, come straight at Edwards. Now here's a sort of surprising thing for me with Edwards is prior to the fight, he spoke about, I was raised in violence. This is what I do. And he's talking kind of hard, but, then to get in the ring and say, I don't really want to be here. It's like you just talk about how you were raised in violence and violence is your thing. So I don't get it. There's a bit of a disconnect, or maybe that whole talk is an indication of the disconnect. Just somebody who's going to say something like I was raised in violence is just hiding behind that fake mask. I don't know. What do you guys think? All right, so again, we're here talking about boxing. We just got through the highlights of Yafai Edwards. What do you guys know about the Yafai family and the Edwards family and that whole sort of rivalry between the two of them? It's my understanding that Sonny's older brother, Charlie, is saying that one of the Yafai brothers just kept ducking him or something. So I don't know. Again, I don't really know that much about the whole family rivalry between them. Are you guys going to watch the next UFC card? Someone mentioned Bryce Mitchell, Kron Gracie. What fights are you looking forward to on that card? Could be an interesting one. I mean, I think Pantoja versus Asakura is definitely an interesting matchup because we haven't seen Asakura in the UFC yet. This is Kai Asakura's UFC debut. So a bit of a mystery factor there. Now, I do want to do a breakdown on Pantoja Asakura, so I'm not going to give up way too much of my thoughts right now, but let me know what you guys think. Sugar's saying there's been a feud between the two families since the amateur. Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't know it went back that far. And some of it spilled into the gym. Wow. And the street, goodness. Although Sonny and Galal have always been on good terms. Okay, that's good to know. Well, I can see how if they're coming from the same region, both families, you can sort of butt heads in the gym for sure. Hopefully nothing got too out of hand in the street to involve law enforcement or what have you. But hi, Justin, how are you? And hi, can't quite see your name. Okay, so I'm not sure what that last comment says, but you were here to talk about boxing or MMA. So Sugar's asking, have you ever had an opponent where the venom was that serious? it also carried on outside the ring before or after the fight. No, it's just not my. It's not my thing, really. I mean, I can like my opponent actually, or I could not like my opponent, but I'm not gonna start talking mess just because I don't feel like it's a good use of my energy. Um, all right, so let's keep the comments clean and rated PG-13, please. We're here to talk about boxing or MMA. What fights are you guys looking forward to? We only got December of 2024 before we head into the new year. What do you guys think of Tank Davis's fight getting pushed out from this year to January? Now it's pushed out to March. It's like, I'm not sure why his fight keeps getting pushed out, and he's supposedly the face of boxing, but not a good look for boxing in general, I think. All right. Someone keeps dropping messages that are being held for review. All right, so Sugar's referring to um, the Edwards retirement announcement. It was not a surprise, but his style, the 20 years has spent in the sport, it doesn't bode well for longevity. Good point. Yeah, he looks like he's willing to take two to give one or something. At least he did in that fight. He was willing to take three to give one. But here's the thing. If you're gonna start talking about, oh, this hurts, that hurts, oh, I had injuries in camp, oh, I've been doing this since I was a kid, it's like, look, dude. So, a lot of pro boxers, ones who don't even get to be on DAZN, who don't even get to be televised, a lot of boxers have put in, 20 years. They've been doing it since they were a kid. They hurt during camp, they get injured during camp. But if you can actually articulate it on camera, like if you're going to use your camera time to talk about that stuff, in my opinion, you gotta kind of censor yourself a little bit better than that. Um, Someone is saying, is that Philly shell the greatest fight style? No, absolutely not. It's the most like overrated, I would say, in the sense that too many people now try to do it. Like every single beginner boxer or MMA fighter, delusional ones in the gym, figure they can start doing the Philly shell. It's very advanced, and I wouldn't teach it. I wouldn't even bother teaching it. You need to teach somebody the basics, and as they advance, once they're like an open class amateur, if they start to fall into being able to do a shoulder roll on their own, you can work with them on that. But I would absolutely not teach a Philly style to somebody. It's not the best style by any means. It's a trap. Okay, so Sugar's saying Tank is in his prime years and as of yet has not had any marquee fights for unifications. Oh, sorry, I missed the entirety of your comment. And Sugar saying, and on the street, looking to use the Philly shell could cost you your life. But yeah, okay. But in boxing, it's a very advanced movement. Yes, Sugar, I would say it's like competitive black belt or more. Like you could be a competitive black belt level boxer and never use a Philly shell because it's not something anybody absolutely needs. It's one of those things that looks slick, but of course, Floyd Mayweather popularized it or made it people aware of it and made people want to copy it. But yes, you can most definitely get yourself, KO'd in a fight, even in an amateur fight, because by leaning away like that, if you don't do it properly and you don't time it well and you don't judge the distance well, you're completely open for a left hook. Okay. YouTube 91 is saying it's the worst. Actually, only special people can do it. I guess You're referring to the Philly shell? Well, it takes, first of all, you have to have that sort of natural inclination towards wanting to do a shoulder roll. So I'll do a shoulder roll to a counter right hand left hook, but it's not Philly shell style. Um, all right, so I don't know who's making this comments. Yo, what's up? We're talking about boxing and MMA. So specifically just what fights you're looking forward to in December. So we have, of course, Tyson Fury Usyk rematch. Who do you guys have? Do you think Tyson can beat Usyk? At this point, Tyson would have to show me something to indicate like that he's taken himself to another level and that he could to beat Usyk. Sugar saying, and to make that shell your entire blueprint like Mayweather is next to impossible. Very dangerous. Yes, I would agree. Again, just it's not part of the fundamental boxing repertoire. Boxing and MMA need Jesus. We all do. Okay, Sugar's saying, when Andre Berto came back after a 14-month layoff, all right, shoulder rolling. Even the commentators are like, not sure what Bordeaux is doing. Yeah, great point. Yeah, Andre Berto had a very interesting career, didn't he? He was sort of, I remember journalist Steve Kim was always harping on about how Berto was overpaid for what he provided. But, you know, God bless him, he made a lot of money. Okay, we're mostly here to talk about boxing and MMA, not so much religion, politics, or anything else. So if you want to talk about fights and what fights you're looking forward to, who you guys see winning the Fury Usyk rematch, definitely chime in. What do you guys think? Sugar, do you think Fury can pull it off in the rematch? Sugar's saying Berto had been promotion and during the crisis in Haiti. Oh, right. He took time off in his prime years. Okay. Good point. Someone else is saying, thank you for subbing. Okay, I know Floyd popularized the shell, but recently Sean Strickland began utilizing it. I guess follow-up would be, how much does having a strong chin mean to fighting? Having a strong chin means a lot. Now, Strickland definitely has a strong chin, but notice that Strickland uses kind of a modified shell. He doesn't use an extreme shell. It's just how he holds his arms and kind of turns his shoulder. He uses it very effective. He's woven that into his own style of fighting very effectively, I think. Sugar's saying, if Fury comes with that extra job and tries to start early, Usyk could wind up ending the fight early. Interesting. Okay, Fury should not come in muffin top style. Yeah. Hopefully Fury gets in his best shape. He does need to be in top condition, simply because Usyk has such. Well, Usyk's going to come in outstanding shape, and he's going to utilize angles and utilize footwork. So Fury's going to have to be very clever to try to shut Usyk down. Jonathan saying, next weekend we have a good fight card on ESPN. Jonathan, which fights are you looking forward to on that card? Someone is saying, if so, does having that strong chin contribute to keeping that arm down. I see you already answered it. Thank you. Okay. So, yeah, even if you have a strong chin, you still want to use defense. You still want to use head movement. You still want to parry. You got to use those weaves. You got to use the slips. Um, the chin is just an asset. Having a strong chin is an asset. Um, if you don't have a strong chin, I think no matter what, you're only going to get but so far, right? Um, and you'll never be able to sort of fulfill on your potential. Someone's asking me, how did I get into boxing and becoming a boxer? Okay, so my origin story is kind of in this YouTube channel. If you go onto the channel and kind of scroll down to where you see some of the gold yellow thumbnails, there's like a lot of backstory news coverage of me on there, in there rather. I was the first female to get women's boxing into the New York City Golden Gloves way back in the day. Um, and then from there, well, okay, so to go further back from that, it was really a curiosity for me to see if I could even learn how to box. I grew up doing judo, and then as an adult just decided to try boxing. And once I did that, I decided, hey, I want to compete. But there wasn't any serious women in competitions at that time. So I petitioned for women to be able to compete in the New York City Golden Gloves. So that was the beginning. But welcome and thank you very much for that question. Definitely please check out some of the other videos on the channel because I think that'll probably answer more of your questions than I can answer right now. And of course, if you have any more questions, you could always post them in the comments. They'll pop up and I'll see them and be able to answer them. Jonathan saying, you have rematches Rafael Espinoza versus Robesi Ramirez and Manuel Navarrete versus Oscar Valdez too. Okay, cool. So that's next week. Interesting way to close out the year. What diet do I follow as an athlete? Well, I'm not vegan by any means. I go gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, but I do eat meat. I try to just eat clean as much as possible. Lots of just uncomplicated meat dishes with vegetables, some rice, sometimes potatoes. It's not that exciting, but straightforward. But thank you. That's a great question. Sugar saying, yes, I'm intrigued at the Navarrete versus Valdez rematch. Can Valdez adapt to the changing division of the, finished at the top of the division? He's a bit undersized as well. Interesting. Okay. So dancing. I'm subbed and I'm definitely checking out your videos out. Okay, thank you so much, dancing. Appreciate you. Hammerhead. Well, a lot of guys do that. I mean, Freddie Roach has been quoted as saying, hey, just give me 1 week before the fight. Like, don't, abstain for at least a week. Other trainers would be, no, you better abstain for 3 months. So it depends who you ask. And guys will tell you all sorts of different stories, but I guess the feeling is if you abstain, you're going to be that more angry when you get in there, and so some trainers I think that's why they advocate for abstinence. But you'll hear plenty of stories of things going in exactly the opposite direction. So, who's to say? You'd have to ask on a case-by-case basis, I suppose. So does abstaining, Sugar saying, so does abstaining have the same impact on ladies combat sports. I'm well, so I think, I mean, it's, I can't compare it, right? But I think this, our systems work differently, and it's really more about, you know, like energy expenditure, I would say, and mental distraction. So, um, I think in a training camp, you want to keep your fighter as focused as possible. So, I mean, that's another big part of it. Is just the mental aspect as well as the physical aspect. Um, in a training camp, you should, I mean, you, in all honesty, you should almost be too tired to think about anything except getting up, doing your workouts, showering, eating, getting your naps in, getting up and doing it again. You shouldn't have any, you know, tons of leftover energy to go think about what do I need to do to entertain myself, you know. Uh, you should be thinking, man, okay, I want to just turn the lights out, hit the hay, because I'm going to have to get up early next morning and do my road work. Someone's asking me, did my family suffer during the war? So I guess you're referring to World War II. So as a Japanese Canadian, yes, both my mom and my dad's sides of the family were interned in Canada. It was different than in Canada than it was in the United States, in that there weren't um, internment camps the way you see them in the U.S. There, basically, all Japanese Canadians were banished from the West Coast and kind of put in very rural areas, or put to work on farms, or but basically all moved. Everybody had to get moved away from the West Coast. So there's farmland in what we call the prairie provinces, which is basically the same thing as the U.S. Midwest. So they got put to work on farms. Other like, that was my mom's side of the family, was more in the sort of Midwest of Canada, and my dad's family was in sort of the wilderness of British Columbia, northern, like more north in British Columbia. So they just kind of shoved people out in the middle of nowhere, and that was their way of like isolating them away from the West Coast. Okay. Sugar saying some guys complain it takes your legs from you, but I don't know what outcomes it could be for the lady side. Well, probably the same thing, I guess. And Sugar, it's interesting you brought that up, because I mean, I remember having a trainer, Reggie Ford, who he'd watch some young guys in the gym sparring, and for whatever reason, he'd just look at him and go and say, like, that kid has been having too much sex standing up or something. And I'd just look at him like, how do you know, Reggie? He goes, trust me, you know, he goes, anything they could think of doing, I've already done. So you know, I don't know what the giveaway is, but he could tell what was, you know, that this young man didn't do the right thing, I suppose. Um, Someone saying, oh, Sarah's saying, thank you for answering the sensitive question. Oh, you're welcome. It's just part of history. But, you know, I appreciate you asking that. And yeah, it's like uh, part of my family history too. So, okay, Sugar saying, uh, that's serious stuff. Sorry your family went through that, D. Thank you. Glad you got through to these times now. We've got ladies in combat sport. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Shug. Appreciate that. Um, in general, I would say that, you know, my great grandparents, grandparents, and parents, they went through way more than our generation went through. So, you know, we get to stand on the shoulders of giants, that kind of thing. All right, guys, tell me what you think is going to happen with Fury Usyk. Do you think Usyk is capable of stopping Fury? I'm not sure if he is or not, but I kind of, at this moment, am going with Usyk in the rematch, at least getting a decision. Now, again, if I can see something amazing out of Fury, in any of the training footage that they're going to release, then maybe I could switch up and point to Fury. But I don't know. I just feel like he's been a little lackluster lately. Dancing saying my heart wants Fury to win. Yeah, he's a likable guy. I mean, I'm a Tyson Fury fan for sure. Betting wise, though, I would guess that Usyk might be the favorite. Fury, Sugar saying Fury said that it always comes back. Huh, he always come back and KOs people in the rematches, but he's not that Fury that did that after the Wilder trilogy. Yeah, I mean, I guess the word disinterested seems to fit a little bit for me with Fury. Again, just maybe I just haven't been, I have not been doing deep dives into trying to find footage of him in his training camp. And by the same token, maybe he's not wanting to release a lot of footage of what he's doing in his training camp. I can't blame him. You want to hold your cards close to the chest, especially in a rematch, because Usyk's already sussed him out the first time. If he's gonna pull a big change up, you want to keep that to yourself, right? So let's keep it clean. We're here just to talk about boxing and MMA. Sarah's saying John Fury is from a town not far from me. Very cool. I actually like John Fury. I mean, I know he goes like from 0 to 100 sometimes at press conferences, but I think he's like a sensible guy in terms of how he looks at life in general. Sugar saying if you look at this lack of sparring in Fury's spring in Fury's legs, the laziness of his jab, and his lumbering around the ring, he's not that guy from the first Wilder fight with all that. True, okay. Dancing is saying, I also respect him for training with Emmanuel Stewart. I believe a lot more UK fighters should train in the USA. Interesting take. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I don't know really, obviously, the status of training in the UK. It looks like you guys have an awesome sort of foundation, terrific grassroots programs. I'm sure actually, I think you have stronger grassroots programs than we have here in the United States. But then maybe once you get to the very pinnacle or the top of the pyramid, top of the food chain type of thing, then yes, you do need to expose yourself to world-class sparring. I don't know if you can pull that together in a camp in the UK, or as I guess Fury goes to Marbella, Spain, doesn't he? Or sometimes he does. In any case, Jonathan saying I think Fury's gonna be better prepared, but I think Usyk's best is one of the greatest or the greatest boxer of this generation. Well, Usyk definitely has spectacular conditioning, excellent footwork, makes use of good angles, throws fast combinations. So, yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. Sugar saying in Europe, UK, they have very developed amateur and domestic structure, but the transfer from amateur to pro can be rocky for them. Okay, that does make sense. I mean, in the US, we're kind of like, well, if you have what it takes to make it on your own as an amateur, right? Because there's not like a solid system or structure in place, as solid as it used to be. Then God bless you, and if you can make it, great. So, someone's saying, assuming cardio is one of the most important factors in fighting/training, have you or do other fighters stress anaerobic training differently in a camp? Am I just overthinking this? No, you're not. I mean, in camp, preparing for a fight, definitely you got to do like wind sprints and explosive type work to build out your anaerobic capacity as well. Sending regards from Argentina. Oh, welcome. Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you here from Argentina. Sugar saying, and that explains why so many Europeans standouts in the Olympics often look lackluster in the pros. Yeah, that definitely that Eastern European style has to go through a transition phase like Bivol, right? You know, to make it as a pro. You can't just like stick and move as a pro. You have to be able to sit down on your punches. Sarah's saying Tyson comes just Tyson comes visit. His relations here regularly. Oh, cool. He likes pints a lot. Okay. So where are you in the UK? That's kind of cool. It's kind of cool if you'd see him around. I mean, I guess if I cross paths with Tyson Fury, I definitely want to get a picture and, um, I don't know, if I had a pair of gloves on me, maybe get an autographed pair of gloves. Jonathan saying, haven't had a question what fight personally you would want to see in the calendar year. Okay. Wow. Okay, great question. If you mean December, I mean it's a little too close to make matches, but I do want to see Inoue in the ring again. Against whom? That's a tough call because so far he's kind of I don't want to say he's exhausted the division, but I don't know that it's fair to ask him to keep moving up. He kind of alluded to the fact that he'll move up when he feels like it. But yeah, he's such a dynamic, exciting fighter. I do want to see Inoue fight again soon. All right, friends. So if you feel like it, you're welcome to leave super thanks. You're welcome to subscribe. You're welcome to join the channel as a member. I think we're going to wrap it up in about 10 minutes, but please let me know what other thoughts or questions you have about boxing or MMA. Tank will destroy Inoue. Well, Tank is fighting at 140 and Inoue fights at 122, 126. So I don't think that match is going to get made. I don't think it makes sense. Am I an MMA fighter? Well, I train in MMA. I haven't fought in MMA yet. I would like to fight in MMA. I've done a lot of boxing, and judo, but those are my two combat sports. What do you think about Tank fighting Roach in March? I mean, I don't think it's going to be much of a match, personally, but it is what it is. Crypto's saying you did some training in which sport? I'm glad you loved it, though. Okay, Dancing is saying thank you. Definitely coming back. Cool. Dancing is saying, yeah, Tank is too big for him. Definitely. There are too many weight divisions apart, so I don't see Tank cutting down to like 130, and 8 pounds is a lot for Inoue to go up. So I don't think that happens. Oh, Dancing is saying boxing and judo. Nice mix of skills. Yeah, kind of opposites, but yeah, it's an interesting mix of skills. I enjoy both, for sure. MMA definitely takes a big gas tank too, though. In some ways, I feel like it almost takes more than either the grappling or the striking separately. Because when you go from stand-up fighting to fighting on the ground and then you get back up again, it's like it can be super draining. So, all right. Any final thoughts on Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk, or on any of the upcoming fights next weekend, or any of the UFC fights? Have you guys heard of Kai Asakura? Um, I'm kind of a Ryzen fan. Ryzen is the MMA promotion in Japan that's kind of the offshoot of Pride. And so I've been following Asakura, Kai Asakura, and his brother Mikuru for a little while. I think his brother Mikuru has officially retired, but the interesting, these guys have an interesting background in the MMA world. Crypto saying Taekwondo. Oh, cool. When I was MMA when I was younger, I had some raw talent. Nice, which wish I could have took it further. Okay, cool. Well, Crypto, you can always jump back in the gym and start hitting the bags and stuff. All right. Kai's getting submitted. Maybe, I'm that's one thing I got to do a little more research on is Kai's ground game. He's kind of good at defending himself from crappy positions, but it's like it's on a whole nother level in the UFC. So it's not enough to just be able to defend your way out of a bad position that you've put yourself in. I mean, you should just not put yourself in that bad position to start with. And you need to have a sub game. Crypto's saying, slap boxing. Huh, that's funny. It's my only hope. LOL. Okay. Well, there's always power slap. Maybe Dana White can sign you to that. I don't know. That to me is crazy, though. I don't think I'd ever want to do anything like that. Jonathan saying at the smaller weights, I like Inoue, Junto, and sorry, I can't read that last one. Any one of them would be a super fight. Oh, and Bam. Any one of them would be a super fight. Yeah, for sure. I think isn't Junko in like the weight division below Inoue right now? Crypto saying I'm 41 with high blood pressure from stress. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I hope you're able to get your blood pressure down naturally, maybe uh, through diet and exercise. I don't know. Not a doctor, but I hope you're able to do it without taking meds. Um, thank you for subbing, Crypto. Appreciate you. Junto is 118. Yeah, so Jonathan's telling us Junto is 118. So yeah, so he's a weight division below Inoue. So that'd be kind of like crazy for him to jump up and take on Inoue, I think. But so hello, you do karate? Cool, very good to meet you. Dancing is saying crypto. Okay, sorry to hear that. Yeah, appreciate it, guys. So I think we're gonna wrap up in a few minutes. It's because we've been on here for almost an hour now. But let me know if you have any other thoughts about how about the UFC card coming up. We have Alex Pantoja versus Kaya Sakura, who we were talking about a little bit. Who else is on there? Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie. Can't think of the other fights right now, but what do you guys think of that? How many of you guys are Kron Gracie fans? Do I know the fight style? So I can't quite see what that is. Siktir Gidget? Sorry if I mispronounced that for sure. Dancing is saying, great stream, thank you. Thank you so much, Dancing. Thank you for joining us. Guys, as always, feel free to leave a super thanks if you enjoy any of the videos or enjoy the streams. Check out some of the fight breakdowns. I've done breakdowns for both boxing and for MMA, both pre-fight and post-fight. So we've had a pretty good record this year in terms of accuracy in our pre-fight predictions, I think. I think I correctly called Joshua Dubois, um, Wilder Zhang, and there was one other one where we were. Oh, and sorry, it's eluding me now, but it, three cases I went with the so-called underdog, and that turned out to be the correct call. Let's see. Crypto's saying it's all good. Thanks, Dancing. Dancing is saying great stream. Thank you. Sorry, come from Mongolia. Okay, no worries. So Mongolian traditional wrestling is super cool. I love how it carries over into judo. It's so creative. It's like the traditional Mongolian wrestling. These guys and gals kind of almost touch their back to the ground without actually touching their back to the ground, and then actually throw somebody from that position. It's pretty crazy. I'm not talking about Hoist Gracie. No, I'm talking about, yeah, not talking about Kron Gracie, true. Kron Gracie, son of Hickson Gracie. Oh, and so you're telling me, yes, your father was a wrestler, a Mongolian wrestler? Very, very cool stuff. I love how they just have the um, the sleeves, and you have to grab both sides. So yeah, it carries over really well into judo, and you know, I think that's partly why Mongolian judo team is doing so well lately. Olympic champions, world champions. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the Mongolian judo team, and I'm a big fan of Mongolian traditional wrestling. It's very cool stuff. All right, guys, so we're going to wrap up in a couple minutes. Let me know if you have any final questions or predictions. Okay, so your father's name, G, sorry, Gotyala? Okay, I'll look it up. Sorry, I'm not going to try to mispronounce your father's name. Um, but yeah, I'm a big fan of Mongolian wrestling, so I think it's super cool. And I think you have to be super athletic to do it, so pretty awesome. I love how it's just part of the culture, with the music and the festival. All right, I'll try to look up your father's name in conjunction with Mongolian wrestling. Jonathan is saying ESPN has busy fight cards next weekend, boxing and MMA. Right, awesome. Yes, so maybe we'll try to do a live stream next weekend. So guys, be on the lookout. It all depends if how good of a stream I can get. Sometimes, like for example, the other event, the stream can fall apart a little bit, but we try to work our way through that. And so yeah, so I will try to do a live stream next weekend. If you're subscribed and you've hit the notification bell, you should get a notification once we start the live stream. So yeah, and if I can, I'll try to get the streams for both the boxing and the UFC. So we'll see how we can match that up if possible. All right, any final thoughts on either Fury Usyk or UFC fight card next weekend? I really appreciate all you guys coming on here. Thank you guys so much. For those of you who just decided to sub, I really appreciate that. Do remember to hit that bell, because that way we can beat the algorithm and you'll know when I've posted something. Sugar saying, thank you, D. You're the first lady of boxing in my eyes. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Sugar. Really appreciate the positive feedback. That's so kind. Do I like Conor McGregor? I mean, yeah, I like him as a fighter. I think he's been good for MMA in terms of just becoming a household name and popularizing the UFC. Um, I think he's kind of on the down at the moment, but you know he was a good ambassador for the sport when he was at his peak. All right, guys. So I think we're gonna wrap it up for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Jonathan is saying I will be keeping up with you, especially next week's. Awesome job. Thank you so much, Jonathan. And do I watch Dagestan fighters like Khabib? Yes, I like Khabib. All right, guys. So we're gonna wrap up the live stream for tonight. Again, look out for a live next weekend, next Saturday night. We've got both boxing and MMA, so we'll have lots to talk about. And let's keep our fingers crossed that I'm able to get a decent stream, so we have plenty to talk about. Right. So I'm gonna sign off for tonight. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate everybody's participation.